Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a fantastic Thursday despite the current market conditions. That is exactly what we're going to get into in this video. We are going to be looking at Cardano, of course. I'm going to be showing you some very interesting things. We're going to be mainly chart focused today and I want to be using the Fibonacci retracement tool. And I'm going to tell you some good news on what for some is quite a down day. Certainly the markets are down. If you're wondering why Cardano is selling off, it's selling off due to it being a part of the crypto space. That is the simplistic answer for it. That is essentially what's going on here. As Bitcoin sells off and the entire crypto space, whether we like it or not, is still very tethered to Bitcoin, we see the altcoins follow. You know, Bitcoin is still very much that tide that rises and sinks all ships. And Cardano, of course, is a part of that. But I'm going to be telling you some good news, and I believe you are due for an epic bounce for Cardano. And we're going to get into why that is in this video. The sell pressure is going to run out, and you are going to see the buy pressure take over. We're going to be getting into a number of things, a number of indicators. We're really going to be looking at our Fibonacci retracement tool. I'm going to be explaining to you what a Fibonacci is and some of the rules associated with it. As many people, they might pull up fibs, but they really fail to explain how they're used and why they're used. And we're going to try and do a little bit of that in this video and really show you, certainly in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, where we are in this retracement. And this also ties in with why I believe you are going to see a bounce for Cardano on the very near future. It's not too distant horizon at all. We're also going to be going over our macro structure, taking a little bit of a look at our Elliott wave theory again, because this ultimately also points to a bounce. And on the weekly time frame, we're going to bring up a number of indicators that all sort of say the same thing. Now, remember, indicators aren't the be-all and end-all. There's no magical indicator out there. There's no golden trick that you can pull with these indicators. And one big thing, and it's a huge criticism for indicators in relation to crypto, is that they were really designed for the traditional finance world that is a lot less higher beta than crypto. So it kind of throws some of the indicators and the laws that they go by out the window. However, there is some sort of knowledge to be gained from these. And certainly in relation to the Fibonacci retracement tool, many of you have asked me previously why it is we don't use the fibs. I do use fibs, just not on videos, but for the purpose of this video, given the circumstances and where we are, we're going to sort of take a look at what's going on. We are in what's referred to as the golden pocket at the moment, which essentially is a very good indication. If you see a bounce off this point, it's a very good indication that you're going to see that recovery. And if you fall below it, it's a very good indication that you're going to continue. So we're going to get into that. I just want to quickly say, in relation to this sell-off, nothing's changed. Cardano still has the metrics that it had, or even stronger metrics now than it had 24 hours ago. And we've looked at this, 71%, 71.8% of Cardano is still staked. I believe this is on ADA pools, but it's actually higher elsewhere. What I'm going to do is shrink my face a little bit as we get into the charts, so that you can see the screen behind me better. We also know, we looked at the fact that, Cardano had the second largest on-chain transaction volume. It nearly doubled Ethereum. This is an article really summing it up. And we still see what is believed to be, via CoinShare, institutions throwing money into the crypto space, as we see the 13th consecutive week of inflows. And Cardano leads the pack on this. We looked at the actual CoinShares article. This is just or the CoinShares report. Sorry, this is just an article that came out around about 21 hours ago. So I want to remind you of that. It all ties in very nicely with a theory. Well, it's not a theory, it's a truth, a universal truth, if you will, that price is often very disassociated with the asset that it's trying to represent. So let's pull up the fib tools, let's get into our indicators and show you why things actually look a-okay. Bitcoin, by the way, you could be playing something like this, which is this kind of ascending wedge where you have this ascending resistance that you've rejected off, you're coming back down, and really just going to set up for more continuation at a lower point. But let's talk about Cardano. And what I want to do is bring up the Fibonacci retracement tool. We've got the RSI at the bottom here, which we're going to talk about. Fibonacci retracement tool. Mine is slightly altered, although I've left it quite simplistic and changed it for the purposes of this video. You guys will, if you go over here to this tool here, get your Fibonacci retracement tool. This is a good way from a move to the upside. When you start retracing, once that move's kind of complete, it's a kind of good indicator of where you're going to retrace to. When you see certain levels of strength in relation to the Fibonacci levels, this can be a good indication that you're going to continue to the upside, or vice versa, continue to the downside. And this is really what I want to talk about in this video. So the Fibonacci retracement tool, Fibonacci numbers are essentially from Fibonacci, who was, I think, 1300s mathematician who came up with these numbers, this sequence of numbers that reoccur in the universe and kind of make up the fabrics of the universe. And they've applied it to a chart, a tool that you can use in relation to these numbers. And essentially it is just a retracement. And you can see your 0 is obviously where you start the retracement, 23%, the 0.23, 38% is your 38%. This is the only number here. This 0.5 actually isn't a Fibonacci number. This is just a halfway mark. And then you have your 618. Now you won't have the 0.65. The 0.65 I've added in myself. This is referred to as the golden ratio, the golden pocket. The reason being is this is a very strong buy signal if you see continuation and support found at this level within this golden pocket here, guys. And you are there today, ladies and gentlemen. And what you're going to say to me is you're going to say, all in crypto, we've wicked below it. Well, the thing is with Fibonacci, and one reason I don't use it on videos, as much as I do think it can be quite a useful tool in some cases, everybody uses it. I tend to not stick with metrics that everybody uses. Because people, even though this is everyone knows this is the golden ratio, and what will quite often happen is you'll get here and you'll get a load of shorts open up in relation to the golden ratio, because you'll get people trying to squash the longs knowing that the sell pressure is in their favor. And this is what you're seeing today, guys. It's quite typical that you'll come below this level before then seeing that continuation. And I really just want to very, very quickly pull up the RSI right now, guys, and where you are. You're in this kind of oversold territory in relation to the RSI. And we're really going to talk about the RSI, the MACD, and the stock RSI in just a second when we go on to a kind of weekly time frame. But this is where you're at in relation to your Fibonacci, guys. Ultimately, I am absolutely expecting a bounce. You know, this is still a retracement in my opinion until you go past this, ladies and gentlemen. Then we need to kind of look to see if we see any support forming and act accordingly. We're going to touch on Elliott wave theory, and is our Elliott wave theory still in play? It absolutely is. But ultimately, Cardano's pullback right now, guys, is just a symptom of the markets as a whole selling off and Cardano being a part of that. Nothing's changed. This price movement, in my opinion, is designed to shake you out. They don't want people getting rich off crypto. This is still very, very applicable, guys. We may just be entering a bit of a prolonged period. You know, ultimately, you guys know how bullish I am on ADA. I don't see how you cannot be bullish on Cardano. And we are just waiting for this to end, essentially, this shakeout. And it kind of makes sense that we're continuing, or certainly have continued, due to the fact that I certainly wasn't feeling anger or depression. I know many people out there weren't. And that's what they want. They really try and test your patience to get you out of this market. And you can sure as hell bet that the second you sell, the tables will turn. So this is where we are. We still are retracing. We're looking for support. You could have found it here, but ultimately it's too early to tell. If you continue to roll over here, look for this level here at 146. If that fails, then we obviously will make a video, but ultimately I'm expecting a bounce in round about this region. And I really just want to remind people just how similar this price action over here is to the one that you're currently going through. And ultimately, you know, this led to upside, and we're expecting the same thing to happen. We know what's on the horizon for Cardano with the Plutus backend mainnet, which essentially is going to see this DApp ecosystem flourish. We're already starting to see the signs of that today. This is going to have a huge driving factor in relation to Cardano's price. So hang in there, guys. I know it seems very pessimistic right now. I know that a lot of the sentiment is down. That's just part and parcel. Nobody told you that investing in the crypto space was easy. It's absolutely not. It's very trying, very testing. But ultimately, just like in yesterday's video when we looked at the macro chart for Bitcoin since 2011, the real value proposition with crypto is that it's still early in its adoption curve, and you are early in relation to that. You know, crypto is held by a very small amount of the population and used by a percent of that, a very small percent of that. And as this grows, the value within crypto is going to continue, and this is the real value proposition that you're at. Certainly in relation to Cardano, I mean, who's really using Cardano nowadays other than to stake it and send it? This is all still to come. So that is a very bullish sentiment in itself. In relation, like I say, to this level. And what I want to do very quickly before I forgot I took the draw off. What I want to do very quickly before we move on to the sort of macro, to really show you that everything's fine. We're not seeing anything out of the ordinary here, guys. Is show you previous moves and where they've kind of bottomed out at. So you're at your golden ratio now. You're kind of in this golden pocket. You have wicked below it, but this is a good sign. If you start to see this recovery, guys, expect that epic bounce. If you start to see these levels here hold as support, expect the bounce that we're predicting. Certainly your RSI is in a very oversold territory. We're going to look at the weekly that really confirms this. Also relate it to where we are in terms of our kind of Elliott wave theory and in relation to the EMAs, etc., etc. Next thing I want to do very quickly is look at these moves here and quickly draw our Fibonacci retracement tool to see where previously we kind of bottomed out at. And you can see that it's not that uncommon in a pullback. So this was your upward move and this is your pullback, that you come into this golden ratio and you kind of loll about it. Sometimes you'll sell below it before you get that continuation, but it's very, very, you will not kind of go below your 786. And we are going to talk about another bullish confirming factor in just 1 second. If we take a look at this one, you can see again, ladies and gentlemen, where this took you. It took you down to your 618 essentially, and you actually sold below it on a number of occasions. So ultimately nothing too much to worry about. In relation to Cardano, you've just sold off because the entire market has. You still look good on a number of levels. I was actually expecting the 618 to hold, but you have sold through it as we had seen previous tests off it. But ultimately, you're in this kind of golden pocket area. And if you start to see that continuation, we'll know in about 6 hours where the kind of direction the next candle is taking. So hang in there, guys. You know, it's a very bright future that Cardano has. Next thing I want to talk to you about is the macro trend. This is the weekly life cycle. Before I do that very quickly, actually, I want to take a look at 2017, the last bull run that Cardano and crypto really saw. And it wasn't actually, if I take this off auto, till the 17th of November that the party really got started. And then it did indeed get started. And this is in relation to is crypto about to go parabolic in a kind of 4-year cycle fashion? It absolutely still could happen. Remember, Bitcoin sold off in a similar way last November. And prior to that, in 2017, it sold off in November. So we're not really following anything out of the ordinary. We've just obviously come up against a bit of a ascending resistance. So this is your kind of macro chart. First indicator that I want to pull up is the RSI. Now, this is interesting because this is the first time that you've actually gone below this halfway mark, this 50 mark for your RSI. This to me, providing that we aren't in a bear market, which we have no reason to believe that we are, is going to lead to a volatile move to the upside. And this would kind of coincide with how we think potentially this year might end. Because this is the first time since March 2020 when you started this bull run, or in my opinion, when you started this bull run, properly anyway, and we've seen continuous upwards movement with kind of pullbacks. Also in relation to our Elliott wave theory, you can really see this is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and you're now on your 5th wave, which is going to take you higher than your previous ones, and you've just seen the first kind of impulse in that. This is, depending on how you want to look at it, a good time to buy. Typically in this bull market that has been the case when you've been at this level and you're actually below it now. Your stock RSI, you're about to form this bullish cross here, ladies and gentlemen. And this is going to be a huge indication. It's absolutely coming, guys. I understand the frustration. Your stock RSI is coming down nicely, and you're going to see continuation out of this very shortly, in my opinion. Things look good. Things look to be resetting. And this is your Elliott wave theory. Now, very quickly, one question that I always get is, okay, well, when are we invalidated in this theory? You guys know that I believe we're in this 5th wave, and you're embarking or about to certainly on your 3rd wave within that. How Elliott wave theory works and how it gets invalidated is when, for example, so you have your 1 wave and then your 2 wave comes below when you started your 1 wave, or you have your 3 wave and your 4th wave comes below where you started your 3 wave. So you can't, your Elliott wave theory kind of goes like this. But with these pullback waves, you can't go below these levels here. So you couldn't pull back and do that, because then this entire structure would be invalidated. So that's kind of how Elliott wave theory works, and you've not invalidated it today, and you've not done it since since May 2020 really, which is really when I think we kicked this bull run off. So there's a lot going on right now, guys. Ultimately, and we'll take a look at the EMA in just 1 second. You know, considering that and how do we know that we're following and these are our waves? Well, you can see that in the RSI, the stock RSI, etc., which I'll show you in a second. I'll just pull up the Elliott wave theory tool to show you the macro Elliott wave theory that we're in. So this is your 1 wave, 2 wave. I have my 3rd wave here, my 4th wave here, and I now think you're embarking on that 5th wave. So this is what I believe you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 wave, 4th wave, and now you're on your 5th wave. And this wave, I believe, is going to take you towards that $10 mark, $7.50 to $10. You can see these are present within the RSI. But with the RSI, when we talk about things bottoming, remember this is an indicator. This hasn't actually happened on the chart. This is what's leading me to believe one reason I'm super bullish is because we've not been down here yet. This could see a real explosion to the upside. Also, your volume has been extremely low. This pullback has really come off on a very small volume. You can also see your Elliott waves within your volume. So this is your 1 wave, this is your 2 wave pullback, 3 wave, 4th wave pullback, and then you've started your 5th wave, in my opinion, but the volume just isn't there, guys, at all. And a prolonged period of no volume, essentially, is leading to believe that when it does come, it's going to come in a big way. And you can also see your Elliott wave theory here, guys. Can you see this? 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 wave, 4th wave, and you've now started on your 5th wave. This 5th wave, I mean, there are a few pariahs like this kind of price action that we see here. Typically that doesn't happen, but ultimately, and we have looked at this on a number of occasions in relation to Cardano, this was somewhat premature. Let me take all of this off, actually. This over here, what I'm circling with my cursor, was very premature. This run up was based on the Alonso hard fork. To flip this back, after every hard fork you have a prolonged period of consolidation. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. Also, if you look at this EMA, which is a 20 EMA, I like to use the 20, not the 21, you can see that anytime you touch this EMA in an uptrend in a bull market, which I still believe we're in, is a fantastic buying opportunity. And that's what I believe presents itself. And this is always typically met with a recovery to the upside. And it's quite common, certainly if you look at these wicks, that you will wick down below it before getting a continuation. I believe that this is probably going to get eaten up, this candle here on the weekly. We've got 3 days and about 7 hours left. Can you see this? You have these big wicks and then you kind of come back up. Ultimately, guys, hang in there. I understand the frustration. I understand the pessimism. But I don't think really when you understand what Cardano is doing, what's on the horizon, that it's very warranted. And Cardano is selling off today due to none of its own merit and being a part of the crypto space. And this goes back into the whole theory that price really is not irrelevant, certainly not irrelevant, but doesn't really correlate very well with the underlying asset. This isn't just applicable to crypto. You have companies, trillion-dollar companies out there that have been negative in terms of growth for a while, or negative in terms of cash flow, and they're a trillion-dollar valuation. So this is just how markets work. They're weird and wonderful. But ultimately, back to what we spoke about in yesterday's video, if you take a look at the kind of logarithmic linear over time since 2011, Brave New Coin liquid index for Bitcoin, what you're looking at there is adoption. This is going to continue, and you guys are still early in that adoption curve. And that is really all I have for you in this video, guys. I hope that this was somewhat useful. You basically take anything off below the 1 because we're not there yet in relation to Cardano. We don't need to start looking at that. That's really when you fall below where you started your impulse. And put your 0.65 in and look at it for a golden pocket. And you're in there now, guys. And if we start to see strength show up here, we're going to have to see that in Bitcoin first. Expect that continuation. That is all I have for you in the video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Remember, we do have the ALLIN crypto stake pool, and there is a link to the description. To the Discord in the description. It does help, certainly in times like this when the markets are pulling back, to be surrounded with individuals that are very like-minded. So the link's there for you in the description. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next YouTube video.